Okay, so here I have shopping cart ID equal to cart.getCartID. So this get cart ID doesn't exist yet, so I'm going to be creating that. Public to return a string. Input is going to be HTTP context base. So I have to send the context here. The context target, right? So what happens here is I will be returning something. So when I don't know what I'm returning, I just like shopping cart ID string. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was just using it as a local variable, which is incorrect. Okay, cart.shopping cart ID equal to. Okay, so in here, I'm just returning a null for now till I figure out what I want to do here. So session variables are going to be like key value pairs, like how you have a dictionary. Okay, so we are going to be looking for a very specific variable. The How do we know what is going to be in the cart session key? We are going to be looking for a specific key called cart ID. How would there be a session variable called cart ID? You know, it's going to be there because we are going to create it. Okay, so we are going to like check to see if a specific cart ID exists in our database. If the cart ID does not exist in the database, we are going to generate a key and write it to the database. That's our job right now. Okay, so when we talk about database, we want to include a database here. So that will be MVC Music Store DB. This is our data context class, and we have to create that. So I'm going to be doing like a database.carts. Oh, we can't use the cards yet because that is the next change. So far we know that we want to use Music Store database to access the database, right? That's going to be our entity framework database context, which means we have to go into MVC Music Store database and create a similar entry for the carts, right? It is going to be of the type cart. It's going to be called carts because that will be like a collection. Unless you have this line, it's not gonna work. We can't use the MVC Music Store DB context to access the database. Okay. Okay, so what's going on here? So we have the get cart method, which is a static method. It is going to create a new shopping cart which has nothing in it. It's just a dummy object. Now the main idea is for this object to be able to access the cart database in our entity frame that our entity framework is going to create for us. Now that we have put in the MVC Music Store DB an entry for the carts, we have that handshake between the database and our code, so we should be good to use it now. So let us see. So here what I'm going to do is db.carts. See, now I get access, and I'm going to look for, what am I going to look for? I'm going to look for a cart with a specific cart ID. Oh, no, sorry, I'm jumping the gun here. Okay, here we are going to look for the session ID, right? If context dot session of, here we give the cart ID, right? Cart session key If this context does not exist, if the cart ID called cart ID, a session variable called cart ID does not exist, create a cart ID and add it to the session variable. That's what we want to do. Else, this is our job. So create a cart ID and add it to a session variable. So how would we do that? So we all know that we have the GUID, right? That would like create like a new GUID for us. We can call it as temp ID. So we just got a GUID. We are going to set, this is so easy. We are going to be setting the cart session key equal to temp ID. That's it. This is how we set the session variable. Right? Otherwise, what do we do? So we want to like retrieve it. So either way, we got our ID. You can call it as cart ID if you want. Instead of temp ID, we can call it as cart ID. Now we know that we want to return cart ID, not some null value. Okay, so what did we do here? The role, this cart object, the main purpose is for it to be able to access the cart items from the database, right? We have not come to the database yet. First, we want to know what is our cart. Do we have a cart or not? So the only way we would know that is in the session. If you look in the session, we are trying to access a session variable called cart ID. If the session variable is null, then we are going to be creating a new cart ID and assigning it to the session variable. If it is not null and there is a match there, there is an entry for cart ID, you're going to take that entry and save it to our cart ID and return. Either way, this cart ID, get cart ID, will always return as a GUID, no matter what. So that GUID is going to be set in my shopping cart ID. Remember, shopping cart ID is going to be one of the properties of my cart object. So that comes in very handy. So now we got that. So now that we have the cart information, we can get all entries that match that specific cart ID. If you look into our cart object, we said a whole bunch of cart items can be tied to a single cart ID, right? So we just created a cart ID. Now we are going to query the database to see if there are any matching items. So we are going to be creating, let me just leave it as void for now, and then we can always change it. So the idea is that I have to have a function that would return me cart items. When I say cart items, what it's going to do is it's going to go to database.carts dot where cart ID equal to shopping cart ID. See, this is going to return all of the items that would be all the cart items that match my ID will be returned here, right? So this is going to return a list. So this has to be list of cart. my return type.